except I shall see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my finger into the print of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe.
Peace be unto you. Reach hither thy finger, and behold my hands. And reach hither thy hand, and thrust it into my side. Be not faithless, but believing.
My Lord and my God.
Thomas, because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed. Blessed are they that have not seen, and yet have believed.
Jesus says, because you have seen me, you have believed, but blessed are those who have not seen, who have not seen, who have not seen, who have not seen. Blessed are those who have not seen, but yet have believed. Let's read this Bible passage together. Aaron has it for us. Now, Thomas, one of the 12, was not with the disciples when Jesus came. Jesus came through the walls. Just to give a little context here, Jesus came through the walls where the disciples were gathering. It says in verse 19, Aaron, you don't have this, so just stay there. But if we go back in the Bible passage just a little bit, it says, on the evening of that first day of the week, when the disciples were together with the doors locked for fear of the Jews, Jesus came and stood among them. He came and stood among them. If you look at some of my sermon reels on Facebook, I have a little sermon reel that I did on Easter talking about Jesus coming through the walls to appear before the disciples. And I was checking the traffic on the reels, and someone, I don't even know who it was, but someone legalistically said, Jesus did not come through the wall. It's like, gee whiz, I don't know how he got through, but the scriptures say he was there. I mean, you know, it says the disciples were together and the doors were locked. They were all together, and all of a sudden Jesus came and stood among them. Okay, you want to debate whether he came through the wall or not, or if it was like Star Trek, you know, beam me down, Scotty. I don't know how he appeared in the middle of the room with the disciples after he rose from the dead. I don't know. I mean, if you want to get into a debate about did he actually go through a wall, I don't know. He got there somehow. That's all I know. And Jesus said, blessed are you who have believed, yet not seen. Thomas, one of the 12 disciples, who was not with them when Jesus appeared, somehow, some way, through being transported, God beamed him down, or through the wall, however it happened. Forgive me, dear brother. Thomas, who was not with the disciples when Jesus came. And the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." They said that to Thomas. We have seen the Lord. We don't know if he came through the wall or if he was beamed down, teleported down. However it happened, Thomas, somehow he just appeared in our midst. Jesus, truly Jesus, however it happened. And Thomas says, "Unless I see the nails and the nail marks in his hands and put my finger where the nails were and put my hands into his side, I will not believe it." A week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. And though the doors were locked, here it is again. I don't know how it happened. You don't know how it happened. We don't know how it happened. There are some things about our faith that are just a mystery. It says Jesus came and stood among them, even though the doors were locked, Susan. And he said, "Peace be with you." Like, I wonder about the timing of that, you know? It's like Thomas. I mean, what splendid timing, don't you think? We kind of miss that sometimes just reading this. You know, Jesus is well aware in his omniscience. He knows all things. He knows all things. He knows every move we make, every thought we have, every word that we speak. And he has heard the dogmatic, dug-in word from Thomas, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my finger where the nails were and my hand into his side, I will not believe it." So right on cue for a teaching opportunity, right on cue, Jesus joins them and Thomas is with them. And Jesus said, "Peace be with you." And then he said, "Thomas, put your finger here and see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side." And then he gives them an order. Stop doubting. Stop doubting and believe. And Thomas said to him, "My Lord, my God." And then Jesus told him, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. But blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." Jesus did many other miracles and miraculous signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not recorded in this book. But these are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. You may have life in his name. Verse 31, we may click on back to that verse in the future. Let's try it once, Aaron. Verse 31, and that by believing you may have life in his name. Thank you for that, Aaron. Jesus said, blessed are those who believe, even though they have not seen. Blessed are those who believe, even though they have not seen. You ever build something around the house that's something crucial, something you really need in the house, and you think you're following the direction step by step, but you miss a critical piece of what you're putting together. And you'd like to think, well, maybe it could just be okay without this particular piece that I have missed. Anybody ever have an experience like that? Thank you, Ruth. Brother Al is making himself vulnerable. You ever put something together and you think you have it all together, but you're missing a crucial piece? I'm sure that has happened to many people. You're missing a crucial piece, and then what you have to do is put it all back together again so that it will work, because you need that peace. Steve is confessing sin right now to his dear wife, Kathy. Thank you very much, Steve. I'm so tempted to just come back there and hear the story about what you built, about the piece that you forgot. But we're all in this together, brother, and many of us have made that same crucial mistake. It's cool right now. Aaron is taking general automotive classes at the Forbes School, and they did something really cool a few months ago. They they built an engine from scratch. Here, come up here, Aaron. Run up here. Come on, can you run? Just run up the aisle. It'll be okay. It won't be sinful. God, can you run? That's a jog. Run. I mean, people are watching their watches. They got places to go. Come up here. Come. Which way are you going to go? Come up this way. Poor Aaron. It's tough being a pastor's kid. You know, they've all been abused over the years. For the glory of God, have they been abused. At Plum Creek Church, I made Allison and Andrew do a duet with me. And that was the last time Andrew ever sung. What are you going to do? It's more important to me that you have a message that's helpful to you in your life than my family. They can sacrifice for the good of Jesus Christ. But I better be careful, because Jennifer has pork and kraut at home, and I won't get any. Tell us about your engine. You built it from scratch?
Yeah, it's called the V8 Blueprint, something like that engine, and built it right from scratch. Tore it from the beginning of the engine block and built it way back up.
Now, let me ask you, when you went to start it, so the key is how do you get a passing grade when you build this engine?
It's just got to start and stay on. Sound good?
Start and stay on, Seth. It's got to start and stay on. So tell us what happened. Tell us, when you went to start it, what happened?
It started right up and stayed on, and we revved it up, and yeah.
Let's give Aaron a hand, everybody. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. Really good job. And his engine started because he put everything together right. All the pieces that need to be put together were put together right. And you know, in our life as Christians, friends, hear me on this. In our life as Christians, this journey with the Lord does not work if we don't believe. If we don't believe, it does not work. It cannot work. It will not work. And if we don't believe, we won't get the blessings that we read about, and Aaron has it for us in verse 31. If we don't believe, it says, by believing you may have life. You may have life in his name. Thank you for that, Aaron. You may have life in his name. It does not work without believing. You must believe. You must trust. But it's really a lot easier to doubt, is it not? It is a lot easier to doubt that prayers are going to be answered, that you can overcome challenges in your life, that God is with you and that God hears you. It's a lot easier to doubt. And I'm sure we've all had seasons where we have doubted God's presence. I'll share with you a personal story of where I had a lot of doubt in my life, and that was with my mom battling ovarian cancer. And and she was a devout Christian, gave her life to Jesus Christ. But at the end, battling ovarian cancer, it was very, very hard. And I was with her, with taking her last breaths and her last, time of living. And in that time, as I was praying for God to just take her, to be free from the chains of that nasty cancer and the chains of this world, it was like 4 a.m, and my dad was sleeping because we were taking turns caring for my mom. And I was reading the 23rd Psalm to my mom, who at that point didn't know I was there. But I had doubt. I had doubt in that moment. You know, Lord God, are you here? Lord, do you really care about me? Do you really care about this faithful woman who has served you? Release her, Lord. Take her away from this pain. I had doubt in that moment. I had some serious doubt, you know. But it doesn't work. The key component of our walk with Jesus is belief. It's the essential belief initially to give your life to Christ. When you come to the cross for the first time, it requires belief. For the first time when you come to the cross, it requires belief. Lord, I'm a sinner. Forgive me for my sins. Forgive me how I've fallen short. Come into my life. You must believe. No. Some people will not come to the cross until every single question they have is answered. Do you know somebody like that? There are some people, I don't mean this judgmentally, but some people will not come to the cross and open up their heart to Jesus until every single question that you could think of, that philosophers and everyone else have articulated, until every single question is answered. But it doesn't work if you don't believe. So you come to the cross initially when you give your life to Christ, you just believe. You just trust. You get on the ride. You go for the ride. You go for the ride with the Lord. You just do it. You just do it. But then once you give your life to Christ, believing is required regularly. Regularly. And Jesus scolds Thomas. You see the nail piercing in my hands. You see my side. And now you believe. But blessed are those who believe but don't see. Going back to verse 31 again. Come on, Aaron. Stop talking to Dylan back there. Verse 31. I'm just teasing you. That by believing you may have life. You may have life. Thank you, Aaron. You may have life in his name. I love Dylan. He's the cutest kid around. How could you not love him? And I wasn't blaming him, Al. I'm blaming them both. You know what I mean? Ruth, what are you doing back there? I mean, what's Ruth Gale doing? Is somebody in charge of the sound booth back there? Ruth, it's a total joke. Ruth, it's a joke. I'm really just funning around, honestly. Thank you for the verse, Aaron. But it doesn't work, you know, without believing. And for Thomas to have the blessings of God in his life, you must believe. You must believe each and every day of your life. You must believe and you must trust. Everybody here that knew Ed Ray is in shock today. I loved Ed. I cared for Ed. We were different people. He was an engineer, and I'm the gushy, extroverted pastor, and different personalities and all that. But, you know, the body is a unit, but it's made up of many parts, you know, and they all come together as one. But I loved Ed. I cared for Ed. We had a lot of laughs together, and we did a lot of great things together. We started this church. To start Living Word, it took belief. It took belief that God would have us in the palm of his hands, you know? I mean, leaving the church that we were a part of with all of its tradition and all of its security and all of its familiarity, you know, the kitchen that we adore, the kitchen that Grandma worked in eons ago, leaving all of those things into the great unknown of whatever God had next. But it took believing. It took believing to start Living Word, to believe that God would make it grow, because we're doing something really crazy, and I was doing something really crazy. I was leaving a good job and a good paycheck and good security, which is why many other conservative PCUSA ministers don't leave. This is crazy. But it doesn't work without believing. If you won't experience life and what God can do in your life if you don't believe. Let's go back to that verse again, Aaron, if we could. By believing, you may have life in his name. You may have life. You must believe. That's how it works. You know, that is how it works. Our brother Ben has been in a new job for at least a month now or so. You know, but it's hard to make a change. Even jobs that you think another job might be better than the other job. Thank you for that, Aaron. But it's hard. But when you take that leap of faith and you just trust God, you just trust and obey him. Brother David, not to pick on David, our violin player, he had a busy weekend this past weekend, and he had 2 music gigs where he had to be in 2 different places on the same day and to make it all work out. So first he was in Indiana with a wedding, and then he had to come and be back here in Plum. And just within a very short time window, a very short time frame. And I don't want David to drive too fast. I want him to be safe. But he was pretty stressed about all that stuff. And then at his first gig on Saturday, there was a big windstorm, and all of his equipment blew over, and his violin blew over. It was crazy. But you just have to believe. And old Dave held it together. He held it together. He believed. He trusted. The wedding gig went well. The school gig went well, and all is good with the world. But you have to believe. You have to trust. We're all in shock about Ed passing. It is really, really hard. We had a leadership meeting on Tuesday. We had a good meeting. We had a lot of laughs. Ed was Ed at the meeting, and it was a good meeting. It was good. We always talk about something silly at every meeting. What did we talk about that was silly, Joyce? Do you remember? There was a silly conversation we had. It was good. What's that, huh? Yeah, the whole meeting. We had a good meeting, and then I saw Ed on Wednesday here at the church. He was worried about, we were having some problems with some of our heating pipes. He was checking them all out and sent a text that everything was good. And then on Friday morning, I got the call from Lois, that he had passed. And that was really shocking. And then the elders got the text from me that Ed had passed, and that was really shocking. And then you all got the text, and it's been really shocking for you because you just saw Ed, and you just had conversations, with him. But we either believe or we don't. It doesn't work if we don't believe. And so what we believe is the scriptures say there is a time and a season for everything. There is a time to be born, and there is a time to die. There is a time to plant. There is a time to uproot. There is a time to bear your cross as a follower and servant of Jesus Christ and work your butt off for the glory of Jesus Christ each and every day, quietly, unapologetically, humbly. Be a servant of the Lord in your church, in your family, in the workplace, to serve and follow and trust the Lord. Hold on to that cross. But then there's a time where God calls you home. God calls you home, and he gives you a crown. He gives you a crown because you cherished that old rugged cross. Because you followed him, he gives you that crown, and you have that life. So today, as our hearts are heavy, and we may have doubt, and we may have fear, we may feel uncomfortable, we may feel, really, really sorrowful. Emotions are very good. This is our friend that we've lost, and so we cry. But also, let us stay focused. Let us stay focused as people who believe that the Word of God is true, that God has a plan and a purpose for our life. And may the Lord every day be the air that we breathe. And in your life, in your walk with God, there's no place for doubt in your walk with God, but it's hard. It's hard not to doubt. It's hard sometimes to wonder, is God going to supply our needs? Is he going to take care of us? Is he going to be there for us? Will we be okay financially as a church? All these different things. It is hard. It's hard for me. It is hard. And it's hard for you in your life and different things that you go through at different times. But don't let doubt overcome you in your life and whatever you're going through in your life. Don't let doubt take over your life. You know, doubt tries to kind of reorient your focus. Do you know that? Doubt reorients your focus. Because suddenly, if the Lord is not on his throne, if the Lord is not in charge, if the Lord is not listening to you, if the Lord is not all powerful, if that's not your focus and doubt reconfigures your life, you become pretty weak and you become pretty scattered. You become a person of turmoil and a person of confusion. Your world becomes filled with confusion when you lean more towards doubt in your life. But let us be a people of belief. And as Aaron has reminded us with verse 31, the scriptures say, by believing you may have life in his name. Friends, this day we will be a people of conviction and belief. We stand on the promises of Jesus Christ. We don't always understand everything God does, but we trust and obey. For there's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey, and every day for the Lord to be the air that we breathe. The air that we breathe. For every day the Lord to be our daily bread living in us. Friends, will you stand and pray with me as our worship team comes forward to lead us? Dear Lord, I'm sure this morning somebody is wrestling with belief. Somebody's trying to figure something out in their life that doesn't make sense. Something's not working out the way we'd like it to work out. Somebody's worried about money. Someone's worried about health. Someone's worrying about a job. Someone's worrying about a car. I know there are at least 2 people in our church today standing in your presence that are worried about trying to get another car. Will you bless both of those people today that are worried about trying to get another vehicle? Both of them. I love them both. They're 2 wonderful 20-somethings that are in our church. But help them to believe and to know that you're a good and generous God. And if we're obedient to you and we trust and follow you, you will provide for us. Lord, you tried to remind the disciples again and again and again that this just doesn't work if we don't believe. You can have all the other components of faith, but if you don't have belief and faith and trust in you, it just doesn't work. And that's why the disciples out on the Sea of Galilee, when the storm came, they lost their way. They were overcome with doubt and fear. They became disoriented and scattered. But Jesus woke up and with just a phrase said, "Quiet, be still." And we're told that the storm quieted, that the winds ceased. And Jesus scolded the disciples like he scolded Thomas. Ye of little faith, don't doubt. Just believe, and let me be the air that you breathe. And everyone said, amen.